Hi, everybody. That was just beautiful. That was just beautiful. Whoa. My name is Yitzi, and it's time for Torah time with Morah Dena. Are you ready? I am. I hope you are too. How do you like that? That is great time to learn Torah together. Introducing Morah Dena. Oh, I'm going to get a haircut one day. Don't worry about that, everybody. Introducing Morah Dena. Ha 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 ha. Hi, everybody. It's Morah Dena time. I am so happy to be with all of you today, tonight, or whenever you watch this. I have one little problem, and that is, I've noticed, while I was preparing Torah time, I saw a mouse in my house. Does anyone out there see any mice? I'm like a little bit worried. I'm scared of mice. And I'm wondering if you saw or see any mice. If you do, please let me know right away, because I'd like to catch that mouse and bring it out of my house, because I do not like mice in my house, or a mouse in my house. So let me know if you see a mouse. Please, right away, call me once you see the mouse. It's time for Torah time. Are you ready? Let's do it. Get ready, get set, and here we go. The books of the Torah, the books of the Torah. There are five. There are five. Raise your hand for Bereshis. Bereshis Shemos Vayikra. Bereshis Shemos Vayikra. Bamidbar Devarim. Give me five. Bamidbar Devarim. Five. The Parsha of the week is Vayetzei. 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 I hope you like my new hat. Yes, I found it in the wizard shop. The Parsha of the week is Vayetzei. Vayetzei is the Parsha of the week. Tra-la-la. What does Vayetzei mean? Vayetzei means, and he went out. Who went out? Yaakov left Canaan on his way to Haran, running away from his brother Esav. We learn that Yaakov was such a big tzaddik that when he went out of his house without a mouse, when he left his house, his tent, the city of Canaan went down in greatness because the tzaddik Yaakov left Canaan. That's what happens. If a tzaddik leaves a city, it goes down in greatness. And Yaakov was a great tzaddik. And he left Canaan, running to Haran, running away from his brother who? His brother who? His brother Esav. You got it. We learn that as he ran to his brother Esav, he stopped off in the yeshiva of Shem and Aver, and there he learned Torah for 14 years to prepare to be with tricky Lavan. He needed to prepare for 14 years so he would not be a part of the trickery. Arm yourself with Torah. Always arm yourself with Torah. Torah is the way to go. Torah is the way to go. As Yaakov ran to Haran, we know that Hashem was going to talk to Yaakov. How does Hashem talk to Yaakov? In a dream. So Hashem makes it in broad daylight get dark in the sky. The sun goes down. The stars came out. The moon came out. And Yaakov was going to take a nap. And Yaakov looked around and he saw 12 stones. Why 12? 12 were the 12 Shivatim, 12 rocks, 12 stones. And he reaches down to take one of the rocks. And as he reaches down, the Medrash says, he's ready to pick up a rock. And the other rock says, choose me, Yaakov. I want a tzaddik to rest his head on me. Choose me, Yaakov. Yaakov, choose me. Yaakov, choose me. And as he picked up that rock, the other rock started arguing. Choose me, Yaakov. Choose me. And all the rocks started arguing together. They all wanted a tzaddik to rest his head on them. Hashem brought all the rocks together, and it became one comfortable pillow. Pillow rock. Hey, you try it out yourself. Take a rock. See if yours turns into a pillow rock. God, and by the way, my pillow in my bed feels like a rock sometimes. Ha ha! So Yaakov falls fast asleep, and as he's sleeping on his pillow rock, in his dream, Hashem talks to him, and he sees a sulam. What do you think a sulam is? A sulam is a ladder, and it goes from the ground all the way up to the shamayim. What does Yaakov see on the ladder, on the sulam? He sees malachim climbing up and malachim climbing down. Malachim climbing up, malachim climbing down. The malachim going up were the malachim that took Yaakov to this spot. And they say, goodbye, Yaakov, we're going back up to sing a song to Hashem. The malachim climbing down are the malachim that are going to take Yaakov to Lavan's house and protect him. So Yaakov is having his dream. And what does, there's a sign that says to Haran. And what does Hashem tell Yaakov in his dream? Yaakov, you are going to be the father of the Bnei Yisrael. You will have so many children, Bnei Yisrael. They will be scattered all over the world, in the north, in the south, in the east, in the west. You will have children everywhere. And they will all be protected by Hashem. Not to worry, Yaakov. But one day, we are going to gather all the children and bring them home. Where is home? It's not Atlanta. It's not Baltimore. It's not New York. It's Eretz Yisrael with the coming of Beis HaMikdash number 3. And this is true. We have children of Bnei Yisrael all over the world, scattered all over. We have them in China. We have Jewish children, Jewish people in Russia, in South Africa, in New Zealand, in Iran, in Baltimore, in California, in Texas, in Canada, in Minneapolis, in Atlanta, and of course in Eretz Yisrael. We hope to all return home. Home is Israel. Eretz Yisrael with the coming of Beis HaMikdash number 3. North, south, east, and west. That's the way we're going to be spread out. Well, Yaakov hears this dream, and Yaakov wakes up, and he says, this is a holy spot. This is the holiest spot in the world, and he calls it Beis Kel, the house of Hashem. And later on we know that the Beis HaMikdash is built right on that spot. That's Har HaMoriah. And Yaakov gathers his things, and he is on his way to Haran. And as he's running to Haran, suddenly he hears a voice that says, stop, stop. Who is stopping Yaakov? It is not Esav. As Yaakov is running, it is Esav's son, Eliphaz. Eliphaz says, Uncle Yaakov, stop right here. I have orders from my father to get rid of you. Get rid of you, Yaakov, Uncle Yaakov. And Uncle Yaakov says, Eliphaz, are you going to do that? Here I am. And Eliphaz looks at his Uncle Yaakov and says, I cannot hurt you, Uncle Yaakov. You are my dear uncle. I love you. I don't know if he said I love you. I added that, but maybe he did. And he said, I cannot hurt you. I have a good idea. I am going to take all your money, and that way it will be like you are gone. and my father will be very proud. So Yaakov empties his pockets. Yaakov had a lot of money. He empties his pockets. He gives all his money to Eliphaz, and Eliphaz goes back to his father's home. And his father Esav says, Eliphaz, did you get rid of my brother Yaakov like you were supposed to? And Eliphaz says, I did something even better. I took all of his money. Ha ha! And Esav says, what? You were told to get rid of Yaakov, not take his money. You were told to get rid of him. Now go back out and go get rid of him. And Eliphaz was very sad because he did not want to get rid of Yaakov. But meanwhile, Yaakov was running, and Yaakov ran all the way to Haran. And there is Yaakov arriving right in Haran. Do you see him arriving to Haran? And he gets to the home of his mother's brother, Tricky Laban. Tricky Laban. And he's standing by the Be'er. You remember Eliezer standing by the Be'er too. Yaakov is standing next to the Be'er, and suddenly he sees coming out of Laban's house a very nice girl. Now remember, he was told by his father not only to run to Laban's house, but he's also going to find a wife. And this girl comes out, and they know they're related to Laban. Remember, they're related together. So suddenly, a girl comes out of Laban's house, and he sees that it's a very nice girl. And she's carrying like a pitcher, and she has animals with her. And Yaakov looks at this girl, and he starts to cry, because he knows that he is going to marry this girl. He knows he's going to marry this girl. He says, hello, what's your name? And she says, my name is Rachel. And that's when he starts to cry, because he knows he's going to marry Rachel. But why is he crying? Number one, he doesn't have any money to give her a present, because the money was taken by who? By Eliphaz. And why else is Yaakov crying? Yaakov is crying because he knows he's not going to be buried with Rachel. He's going to be buried with his other wife, Leah. So he's crying for those two reasons. Wah! And he says, Rachel, why are you standing here? What are you waiting for, Rachel? And Rachel says, do you see the well, the Be'er? Well, she says, there's a great big rock on top of the Be'er, and I have to wait for 10 men to come and help me take off the rock. It's very heavy. I can't lift it up. And Yaakov says, I will help you. And the Medrash says with one hand, some people say with one pinky, he picks up the heaviest stone. Hashem gives him the strength. Whee! He picks up the stone. And Rachel says, whoa, wow. Yaakov used all of his strength for that. He takes off the stone, and Rachel starts to get water for her sheep and starts getting water from the Be'er. And Yaakov says, Rachel, would you please marry me? Here's Yaakov lifting up the stone. There it is. You see it. He's lifting up the stone. Wow. And Yaakov says, Rachel, would you marry me? And Rachel says, I would love to marry you, Yaakov, but I first must ask what do you think? Father. You got it. Who is Rachel's father? Tricky Laban. So they make their way to Laban's house. That's Rachel's house. And there they go, all the way to Laban's house. And as they go to Laban's house, here they go, they're making their way down the sidewalk. And suddenly Laban is looking out of the window. And he sees, whoa, look who's coming to his house. It's Yaakov. Yippee! Yaakov's coming to his house. Why is he so excited? Laban is so excited because Laban loves money. And he knows that Yaakov has a lot of money. So Laban says, whoa, I better go greet Yaakov. He runs down the sidewalk and he quickly says, Yaakov, I'm so happy to see you, Yaakov. Yaakov, what a nice surprise, Yaakov. Whoa, and he gives him a big hug. But what's he really doing? He's feeling inside his pockets. There he is. See his hand in his pockets? And Yaakov is going, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Why are your hands in my pockets? What are you doing? And Lavan's thinking, why can't I find any money in your pockets? This is so strange. You're supposed to have a lot of money. But meanwhile, we know that all of Yaakov's money is gone. Who took it? Who took it? Who took it? You know the answer. Elihu, Eliphaz, Eliphaz. So Lavan says, oh, no money, no money. And Yaakov is saying, that's so strange. And Yaakov says, okay, why? It's so nice to be here, Lavan. And Lavan says, why are you here? I'm so happy to see you, Yaakov. And Yaakov says, well, I have come here to ask you a very good, very important question. And Lavan says, well, come inside, have a seat. What's your question, Yaakov? Yaakov says, well, I would like to marry your daughter, Rachel. Lavan says, great idea. I love that idea. You can marry Rachel, but first you must take the shovel and you must work for me for 7 years. After 7 years, then you can marry Rachel. What a good deal, what a good deal. I'm so tricky, Lavan. Tricky Lavan. Tricky Lavan. So he hands Yaakov the shovel. And Yaakov works for Lavan for 7 years. Seven. Takes care of the sheep. And he's happy to do that digging, planting, happy to work for Lavan for 7 years. That way he can marry Rachel. What a treat. He's working. At the end of 7 years, he says, now I am ready to marry Rachel. He goes up to Lavan and he says, Lavan, I am ready. 7 years have gone by. I am ready to marry your daughter Rachel. Yippee! And Lavan says, great, Yaakov. That's super, Yaakov. That's really great. And Lavan sends out invitations to all the people in the land of Haran. Please come to the chasana of Yaakov to Rachel. Please come to the wedding of Yaakov to Rachel. Please come to the wedding of Yaakov to Rachel. Please come. We're going to have so much fun. And it's in 2 weeks from today, maybe. So 2 weeks go by, and Yaakov is so excited. He gets ready for the chasana, and Rachel is so excited to marry Yaakov. What a special couple, Yaakov to Rachel, getting married together. And not to worry, tricky Lavan has some tricks up his sleeve. Tricky Lavan. The day of the chasna arrives. The day of the chasna arrives, and here it is. Everyone is enjoying the delicious buffet. It's a beautifully catered affair in Haran. What a great day, what a great day. Yaakov is dressed in his finest for his chasana, dressed in his finest for his wedding. The music begins, and Yaakov walks down with, of course, his mother Rivka. He walks down the aisle. He walks down the aisle to the chasna under the chuppah. And as he gets under the chuppah, he is so excited to marry Rachel. Well, here comes tricky Lavan. Here's Lavan. And Lavan has a big problem. Because here is Rachel, dressed in her wedding gown, ready to marry Yaakov. And as she's preparing to marry Yaakov, suddenly Lavan looks over and sees Rachel's older sister, who is a very special girl, and her name was Leah. Leah was older, but take a look at Leah's face. Leah's eyes are totally red. Tears are coming out of her eyes. She is crying day and night, Leah. Leah is crying. Why is Leah crying so much? Because Leah is so scared that she is going to have to marry Esav. If Yaakov marries Rachel, then she has to marry the twin brother, Esav. This is terrible news, and she's crying day and night, while Lavan sees his daughter Leah crying so much. And Lavan says, let me make a plan. Let me make a plan. Let me make a plan. He goes up to Rachel with her wedding gown on, and he says, Rachel, look at your sister Rachel, look at your sister Leah. Is it okay if you give your wedding dress and let Leah marry Yaakov? Don't worry, you'll get to marry Yaakov one day too, but let Leah marry Yaakov today. Isn't that a great idea? Look at your sister Leah. She's crying. She thinks she has to marry Esav. This is terrible news. What does Rachel say? What does Rachel do on her wedding day? Guess what she does? She takes her veil. She takes her gown. And she gives it to her sister Leah. Not only that, she gives the secret signs that Yaakov gave to Rachel. Secret signs to make sure that it was Rachel, because Yaakov gave those signs to Rachel because he knew that Lavan would do a trick. So he had secret signs for Rachel to know that it was really Rachel. Rachel gave the signs to Leah. And guess what? She said yes. Leah, my sister, can marry Yaakov. What? Can you imagine on her wedding day? What? That is unbelievable. Rachel gives her wedding dress to Leah. And Leah walks down the aisle. Leah walks down the aisle. Leah, here she is. There's a question mark there. Here's Rachel, waiting on the side, watching the chasna from far. There she is. She's watching her sister Leah marry Yaakov, the person who she was supposed to marry. Yaakov gets the signs, the secret signs from Leah. He thinks it's Rachel. The chasna goes on, and everyone is saying Siman Tov Mazel Tov. Everyone is dancing. Everyone is singing. Everyone is having fun. But Leah is still covered. And Leah is married to Yaakov. They go to their tent after the wedding, after the chasna. They go over to the tent. Yes. And what happens is, as they get to their tent after the chasna is over, Yaakov and Leah. Yaakov says, Leah, he says, Rachel, we are now in our tent. You may take off your veil. And Leah uncovers her face. And Yaakov sees that it's not Rachel. It is Leah. You would think that Yaakov would scream out, ah! But he didn't want to make Leah feel bad. He was just like shocked. What? This is Leah. What? I married Leah. What? I married Leah. Woo! I didn't marry Rachel. I married Leah. How would you feel? How would you feel? How would you feel? And Yaakov is with Leah, got married to Leah. And by the way, we learned that Leah was the first to have children. Leah had 5 boys first. Hashem listened to Leah because Hashem knew that Leah might feel bad that she married Yaakov, and Yaakov really wanted to marry Rachel. So the next morning, after the chasna, Yaakov goes to Lavan's tent, and he knocks at the door. Bang, 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 bang. And Lavan comes to the door and says, Oh, Yaakov, So nice to see you so early in the morning. Is everything okay? Lavan knows what Yaakov's gonna say. Is everything okay? You had such a nice wedding last night. Oh, you're here so early in the morning. Is everything okay? And Yaakov says, Lavan, Lavan, you tricked me, Lavan. Lavan, you tricked me, Lavan. Lavan, you tricked me. You gave me Leah instead of Rachel. You gave me Leah instead of Rachel. And Lavan says, calm down, Yaakov. It's okay. You can marry Rachel too. Because in those days, a man could have more than one wife. Yes, it's true. Yes. Nowadays, not. But in those days, a man could marry more than one wife. So Lavan says, don't worry about it. Yaakov, you can marry Rachel too. But guess what? You're going to have to work for me for 7 more years. Yaakov doesn't care. Yaakov marries Rachel, and he works for Lavan for 7 more years. That means he lived with Lavan for 14 years. Wow. 14 years learning in yeshiva, and then 14 years living with Lavan. Can you imagine living with tricky Lavan? Tricky Lavan. Tricky Lavan. He takes the shovel and works for 7 more years. We learn that Yaakov, in the meantime, married 2 more wives. So now Yaakov has 4 wives. He has Rachel, Leah, Bilhah, and Zilpah. Rachel, Leah, Bilhah, and Zilpah. And guess what we learn? That the dream comes true. Of course, because it's from Hashem, that Yaakov gives birth to 12 sons, the 12 Shevatim, 12 sons, Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Yisachar, Zvulun, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asher, Yosef, and we will learn in next week's Parsha, Binyamin is born. And they have 1 daughter, and I'm so embarrassed and so excited to tell you. Guess what her name is? Clap if you think her name was Penina. No. Clap if you think her name was Bracha Tova. No. Clap if you think her name was Esther. No. Clap if you think her name was Dena. Yay! My name, ho! He had a daughter named Dena. So he has 4 wives, 12 sons, and 1 daughter. What a busy life for Yaakov and family. What a busy life. That is ending our Parshas of Vayetzei, and what a powerful Parsha it is. Yaakov, living in Lavan's house, has 4 wives, 12 sons, and 1 daughter. Parshas Vayetzei. Clap if you love the Parsha this week. Parshas Vayetzei, the very best. I think you all did a great job learning Torah together. Have you seen any mice lately? I haven't. Have you? I don't know. Maybe you have. Could be. Let me know if you've seen any mice running around. If you've seen a mouse in my house, please let me know. Otherwise, wishing you a wonderful... Oh, what's this? Why do I feel like I'm growing whiskers? This is strange. Why do I feel like I'm growing... Anyway, if you see a mouse in my house, please let me know. Otherwise, wishing you a great Shabbos. Way faster. Whee! Good Shabbos. Happy Parshas Vayetzei. See you all soon. Bye-bye. Shalom. Squeak, squeak. What was that all about? Squeak, squeak. What was that all about? Squeak, squeak. Bye.